Hey everyone, I'm Jack. I think the cold weather has finally passed here in Arkansas. The plants are coming to life, and I think it's time to fertilize. Let me show you what I decided on. So over the winter, I was trying to decide which fertilizer I was going to use. I looked on Amazon, read the reviews of some fertilizers that people had bought there. I tried to look at some of the big box stores to see if they had any. They didn't really have any specific succulent or cacti fertilizer. So what I did is I went to my local hydroponic store and I did a video about that and all the fertilizers and plant care things that they have there. What I decided to use was something that I already had. It's a hydroponic fertilizer. So before I start, I want to make sure that you understand that this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting anything from this company. It's not a paid endorsement or anything like that. It's just something that I've used in the past and I've had good success with it. So this is a product from Roots Organic. It's called Buddha Grow. It's an organic hydroponic fertilizer. I try as much as I can to stay organic with plant care. I don't like, pumping a bunch of non-organic chemicals into plants. When I grew vegetables, the fertilizer that I used was organic. Like I said, I try as much as I can to try and stay organic. So I've used this in the past with vegetable gardens. I've tried it on flowers, a bunch of different things. My fig trees that I have, and they've all responded really well with this. So I'm hoping that this was a good decision to put these on my succulent and cactus collection. So what this is like I said, it's an organic hydroponic fertilizer. The numbers on it are 2, 1/4, and 2. So it's 2% nitrogen, 1/4% phosphate, 2% potash, and then it has 0.5% of magnesium. And it's derived from, organic materials, bat guano, kelp extract, soy protein, molasses, worm castings, and yucca extract. Now there's some talk on the internet I see about bat guano and as far as using it or not. Some of the practices to obtain the bat guano, actually disturb the bats. And some of them, I guess, actually even get harmed in the process. So you kind of have to use your best judgment about, products that have bat guano in them. At first, I never really thought about it until I read all these articles. And then, I don't know, I have mixed emotions about, the bat guano. I don't want the bats to get hurt, of course, to extract their guano so that I can use it in my fertilizer. And it does work really well. And I feel it is a renewable source. I don't think there's any lack of bat guano. If you've seen some of the videos of the, hundreds and thousands that come out of a cave, I just think there's an abundance of bat guano, and, I'm using my best judgment that hoping that, the bats aren't harmed in this. So anyway, that's my rant about bat guano. Just use your best judgment if you want to use a product that contains it or not. So what I do is I actually fertilized yesterday, so I'll just show you the process that I went through to do that. In the video I showed you where I stabilized the water at 6.0 by using a pH down because the water that comes out of my tap is up in the neighborhood of 8, very acidic. So I, do just a tiny dab of pH down in a 2-gallon igloo container that I have. So I make sure that I'm at 6.0, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like here. Is, I have this little test kit that I got from the hydroponic store. I believe I showed you a video on that too. So I just make sure that this vial is about, is about 3/4 full. It's hard to do in this. Like that. And then it's just 2 drops of this test solution. And you put the top on, just kind of invert it a couple times. Now, sure, the light is going to make it look a different color than it really is, and it actually is making it look a little bit green, which on this chart shows about 6.5 to 7. But if I take it out from under this fluorescent light, it's actually yellow right here at the 6.0, and that's exactly where I want it. And that's what I try and keep the water at all the time when I water. So now that I know that it's stabilized at the 6.0, I can go ahead and go forward from here. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And then what I did is I looked on the back of this, and they give you doses for seedlings and small plants, mature vegetative plants, beginning flowering plants. And so what I did is I kind of went by the mature vegetative plants, and it's 1 2/3 to 2 tablespoons per gallon. So I don't make a gallon at a time. The thing that I've kind of gotten in the habit of is using this 2-quart jar here, and to fill it from my 6.0 oxygenated igloo water. I use a 1-quart jar and just fill this up twice. And then what I have done before fertilizing is I just put it into this little squirt bottle, and that way I can kind of direct it towards the back of the plants on my shelf, and it also gives me a better idea of how much water I'm actually putting in each plant, rather than trying to pour it from a jar or from a sprinkler can or anything like that. I've really grown quite fond of using this little, I guess it's kind of like a plastic beaker is what it is. Excuse me, you just squeeze the bottle and the water comes out here. And so with doing that math, 1 2/3 to 2 tablespoons per gallon, is I kind of split the difference, and I thought, well, I'll just do a tablespoon per gallon. So I had to kind of do some math to figure out how much fertilizer I would put in 2 quarts. And so by doing the math, what I came up with is about 2/3 of a teaspoon of the Roots Organic in a 2-quart jar makes that concentration at 1 tablespoon per gallon. And so what I did is, I just took this and kind of gave it a shake. It's very, very thick. It looks kind of like, kind of thinned out molasses, like it's very, very thick. I'll see if I can pour some in here without spilling it all over the table. And I just kind of guessed about what 2/3 is, right about there. And then I just put this, I don't know if I can be able to show you this. I put this in the jar, and I sort of just hung it over the edge like this. And then I took my 1-quart jar of water and just poured it kind of over that teaspoon to wash out that real thick fertilizer off that spoon. And then I took my 2nd jar, added it in, and so you end up with something that looks kind of like that, kind of like muddy, murky water. And let me put this top back on here. And then I just, took this, poured it into this plastic beaker, and then just fertilized my plants. There is some, matter of some sort, like, I don't know quite what it would be, if it's part of the guano or if it's part of the kelp extract. Probably the kelp extract. So there is little bits that float around, and a couple of times this did get clogged, so I had to kind of take it apart and unclear that so that I could water. So I really do think this is going to be a good choice. I like the fact that it is organic. I like the fact that the nitrogen is fairly low at 2%. You don't want a high nitrogen fertilizer for cacti and succulents. A lot of the ones you'll see, like at the big box stores, they'll be up in the 10, 15, 20% range. And you really don't need that much, because you're not trying to, get them to throw off a bunch of leaves like when you vegetable garden, or, using them on flowers. You want those numbers higher, depending on what you're trying to do. So a high nitrogen in a vegetable garden will, make those plants produce a bunch of leaves, and you don't really necessarily need that or want that with succulents or cacti. So I do like the fact that it is low at 2%. I like the fact that it is organic, and I like the fact that all the ingredients are listed out, and they are in fact organic, nothing derived from any kind of chemical. So I just wanted to show you what I did. Like I said, I fertilized yesterday, so I will see the difference or see any kind of changes hopefully within about a week, and hopefully it is a good decision that I made. Hopefully I don't wipe out my whole collection by using something on it I shouldn't. I did discuss it with the hydroponic store owner, and we both kind of agreed that it seems like such a low number of nitrogen, phosphate, and potash that I don't think it's going to cause any kind of problems. So I will try and do an update on this and let you know how this worked out. I just wanted to show you kind of the process that I did and my thoughts on what type of fertilizer to use. If you are at the point of needing to fertilize your plants, it may be something that you want to consider. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click that like button for me. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to see more videos. And until the next time, thanks for watching.